Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boardroom Breakdown. But it's July 10th, and we had a really interesting meeting today. We had a lot of great work done. It was a pretty small agenda in the scheme of things. I mean, we had most of everything on the consent agenda, and some of the stuff that we did have on the consent agenda, and one of the most I see it as one of the most important ones for the people up in the north side with the farmlands is that Sandy Hollow Gulley. Y'all are going to have to forgive me, folks. I'm still a little bit of jet lag from my trip to Poland over last week, but this is for the approval of the task order of phase two in the engineering. And this is if nobody's been to that gully, that is one impressive gully. You can't imagine the size and scope of. I mean, well, if you can't see the room we're in, but you could stand right here and look to the ceiling, and you probably still wouldn't be to the top of it. And a lot of this is caused because of the sheeting action of the waterways in the farmlands, and it creates quite a sediment problem. But we have a great team working on this. This is something that's going on pretty much around the state. We've got a couple of this is probably the most prominent one in the state.
I think a lot of people don't always think of where erosion is happening. It's easy to when you see it going into a waterway or in a creek or something like that. But it's different when it's out of sight, out of mind, and it's in a more rural area of the county. But it does happen. It happens fairly often, and this is a large gully that's continuing to grow. So we're in the process of trying to solve that problem. And it was, the project was included as part of the Pensacola-Perdido Bay Estuary Program, as well as NOAA, that Oyster Restoration Initiative project, and that's to help make sure that we're cleaning up our bays and our sounds to have healthier water and healthier fisheries.
Yeah, clean water starts way up north. It doesn't just start right here, and so that's exciting work. We were just talking about this a little bit, but we have the Basset Hound contest that we have every Halloween, and it's a really fun thing. Ed Greer started this out a few years back. It was actually my first year on the board. He had reached out, and it's really a lot of fun.
It is held at Bagdad Mill Site Park. But I would tell people, if you have a few minutes, go back and watch the part of the meeting where we actually discussed the Basset Hounds, because I think everyone got a good laugh on it. And just picture a Basset Hound dressed up in a Halloween costume and say no more. That's a funny sight to picture.
A good one's basketball players. Put basketball player uniforms on Basset Hound.
There you go. And for the record, Commissioner Rowell has 3 Basset Hounds that he's very proud of, and he assures us that they are low energy dogs. So
low energy, hanging jowl dogs.
That's right.
They probably drool a lot.
I think so. I did want to point out that Commissioner Eddington was working really hard in response to some people in his district down in Navarre. So the board did approve to install some speed tables on Military Trail there. Mm-hmm. So that was in direct response to a citizen request in his district. Kerry, I think the one thing I was most excited about, it was obviously a big discussion Monday and a very lengthy discussion today, but that was the fact that we had a legislative appropriation that got vetoed, but the board came together and found a way to fund that conservation effort there at Soundside Drive, that 27 acres of marshland and wetland area.
And I'm going to have to point out, it was a really good deal. It's a very good deal. And I'm going to also give you all the props. You did a lot of hard work on that. I commend you for going outside of the box. You saw the problem. You worked with the people and a lot of these people, I can't help but say it, but a lot of these people haven't been your fans in the past, and they really did appreciate it today. I know your heart. I know your conservation heart. You and I are on PPBEP together. We serve together on Restore. I know where you stand with conservation. You know where I stand with conservation. I'm a large outdoorsman. I do a lot outdoors, and one of the things that you hate seeing is lack of good stewardship to what we're given. We're given a lot of gifts around this area, and we have the opportunity to do it right. And I think today was just a great example of what we can do together. We had a little bit of tension, and it was all about where you're going to get the money. And, and I understand that. You understand it as well, because we have our pet projects that we're wanting to take care of, but we really didn't see that project as coming to the forefront. It was a blind side. But
Yeah,
look at how well we adjusted.
that's
And
right.
I'm really proud of this board. I'm
I
really proud of
agreed
how we
100%.
got together on this.
I think the general public, I think it came as a bit of a surprise. I think that the big thing to remember is the board unanimously supported all of the legislative appropriation requests that we had put in, and it made it all the way through the legislative process, and it wasn't until the very end that it got vetoed. And that's where we were in a position where this project was extremely time sensitive, because it was a 4-year project that private citizens have been working on, and well over a year that myself and the county have been in negotiations working on it. So I know it came as a shock to a lot of folks, and as well as some of the other board members, when all of a sudden Monday there was a proposal to find a way to save the deal. But it's such an important piece of property, with the waterway there, the salt marsh. There's pitcher plants on this property. There is no way that parcel of land could ever be recreated. You can't go back and create a new salt marsh. It is one of the few gems left in South Santa Rosa County. It is important to protect that for many, many generations to come. You and I will be long gone, dead and gone, and there'll be families out there enjoying that kayak, and hopefully one day being able to walk on an elevated boardwalk through it. There is no plan to or desire at all to develop it. It is for conservation, 100% forever. And I can't really take the credit for it. It was led by a group of private citizens that worked really hard. I just simply was the conduit to the government, and it was an honor to be part of it. And thank you and to the rest of the board members for really rallying around, finding a solution, and getting it done. Something we can all be proud of.
I appreciate your modesty, but it still takes a lot of courage to stand up and get, because it wasn't easy.
No.
You still had some conversations to be had today, and like I said, there was an illusion of toes being stomped on, but I think we got past it. Yep. And I think we got past it quite maturely.
We're in a bigger, better place for it.
Yeah, it was a great deal, and I was really proud of the board and everything that was done today. So,
and then I guess the last thing is, we did have discussion about the proposals and the ideas that Land Development Code Task Force brought to the board. And we talked through some of the ideas, some of the changes, and decided that we were going to set up a workshop. So the board will have a workshop open to the public on August 11th, at which point we'll go through those changes, try to come to a consensus on those, and I guess that'll be where we'll
ship it over to the zoning board.
Yep, for final determination.
And go from there. And that's one of the things that a lot of the people out there, they think that we can come up with a perfect land development code. It's not going to happen, but that's a constant battle, working on the different things that come up. So many different nuances come into play. You don't see everything before you can't play that 4-dimensional chess with the land development code, because it just takes time for things to work things out. And, I'm really proud of the Land Development Task Force that did a lot of hard work. And Jared was a rock star on that. So.
Yeah, our staff, and frankly, look, let's just face it.
Jared Lowe.
Yeah. Volunteers from every aspect, every stakeholder, whether it be commercial development, residential development, conservation. We had environmental scientist on there. It really was a collaborative effort, and I mentioned this in the board meeting today, but I'll say it here. I think it's one of the proudest moments that I have, and I think the board can have, in seeing where people came together. We had an idea on the best way to provide for the best possible outcome, and I think we saw that can happen when everyone actually, sits down, is willing to talk through the ideas and get things happen and work together. We can accomplish a lot more in Santa Rosa County.
The road was bumpy, but nothing good comes easy.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I think that wraps us up, and we appreciate you joining us and tuning in to us today, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
See you next time.